I remember my first race for Senate when everybody thought I was going to get blown out back in 1996, and it actually ended up being pretty close. So I felt pretty good going into the election, but you still, until the polls closed, until you started getting back some numbers, you didn't know. Early on in the evening, while it looked like I might be successful, it looked like it was going to be closer than I had anticipated. By the end of the evening, it ended up being a wider margin than even I had imagined. I really think the freshman class is bonded. I think a reflection of that was when we came together as a group to put together a whole package of cost containment amendments on the health care bill. And the fact that if the 10 or 11 of us can actually hang together on a series of issues, that gives you a voice that needs to be heard and reckoned with. Well, the first one with me yawning, and Luke has even taken on one of my personal characteristics of chop, chop, let's keep moving, chop, chop. So he's a little more alert in this picture than I am. But there are moments when, you got to take a yawn or a breather. And I'll still remember that one because, 1,500 Virginians in there, and I was getting it from both sides. I was not a supporter of the public option, so the folks on the left were complaining, the folks from the right were concerned, and oftentimes not having full information about what was actually in the health care bill or not. I mean, my view of this job is, any Virginian, any American for that matter, has got a right to express their views to me. I got to get a chance to be respectful and respond, but if I'm not willing to take the heat, then I'm in the wrong job. I think like most members, a little bit worn out, frustrated probably that it would have been a better bill if we'd actually had 75 or 80 members trying to get to 60 rather than 61 members trying to get to 60. Right. End of the day, if we can't drive down our healthcare costs, all of the other things we want to do in this country, in terms of controlling our deficit, in terms of being competitive on a global stage, in terms of our business, is all going to be put in jeopardy. It's been a learning process. I'd never been a legislator. I'd never even, never been a state legislator, never even been on city council. I'd been an executive in business and then an executive in government. So learning this process and recognizing that, it's not how often you talk, but it's actually what you say, and trying to make sure that what you say, you've thought it through and got some facts behind it. I think this next year is going to even be, particularly with the changing political dynamic, a little more extraordinary.